I wasn't my girlfriend's first choice. Is it okay to feel indifferent about that?
That question is obviously a question from a guy who's consumed some of the red pill loser think. And I see that comment a lot. And there are going to be situations where you start dating a girl, she might be talking to an ex, or she might be talking to a guy she's been dating longer. And the longer a girl's with the guy and the more she's been intimate with him, the more she's going to be emotionally bonded. And he's going to have more leverage as far as who she's going to choose, you versus him. And so what happens in those cases, like I have a good friend of mine when he was really popular in high school, probably the most popular guy in my class. And he slept with all the hot girls. And even afterwards, he did great, joined a fraternity, had a great time. And then when we were in our early 20s, he they ended up running into each other and started dating. And I think they were like maybe 3 weeks in, but she had also been dating another guy who was a doctor, probably about a month longer than she had been seeing him. And so she was kind of dating him. He was older. The doctor was like in his 30s, and we were all in our, 22, 23 years old. And my friend, he'll even say, he's like, I was kind of a fuck up. I was drinking, I was drunk all weekend, every weekend, having a good time. And so after about 3 weeks in, he's thinking things are, moving in the right direction. She's like, well, I'm going to get serious with this other guy because I've been dating him about a month and a half or so longer than you. And I want to see where it goes. And it wouldn't be right to be dating you and dating him at the same time because things are getting a little serious with this other guy. And his attitude was like, hey, don't burn a bridge. So he's like, hey, well, give me a call if it doesn't work out. And then it was, I don't know, a month or two later, after she got to know this doctor a little bit more. And even though on paper, he's a doctor, he's successful, he's got money, he's got his own practice, he's doing well. And my friend he was making decent money, but, he was a bad boy partier. He did not have his life squared away in any way, shape, or form, even remotely close to the doctor. And yet, after she dated the doctor long enough, she lost respect for him because he was basically a beta male and he was not strong enough to stand up to her and call her out on her BS. And she lost attraction and interest in the doctor and then called my friend back. I don't know, like I said, month or 2 months later, or whatever it was. And she's like, hey, let's go out. And they've been together ever since. And they've been together over 30 years at this point. They got a great family. The kids have turned out great. And he's still the same dude. He's still, he's because he's been together with her 30 years. A lot of times he does things to avoid pissing her off, which we always break his balls over. But when she's not around and like we're all hanging out together, it's like he's the same dude. And guys in the red pill community are like, oh, he he wasn't her first choice. It's like, well, she had the other guy and she chose not to continue with him because even though he was, well, I wouldn't say he was wealthy. He was on his way to becoming wealthy, and he was much more successful than my friend. She chose to hang out with my friend, who was a party boy, a bad boy, and like even when she told her girlfriends, "Oh, guess who I'm dating?" They were like, "Oh, I can't believe you're dating him." But they lived happily ever after. And when I bring that story up, sometimes I see in the comments guys going, "Oh, but he's a loser. He wasn't her first choice." It's like, that's loser think. A winner thinks in terms of, hey, she came to her senses, or I knew it was only a matter of time because that guy she was dating was a pussy anyways. And once he turned out to be a pussy, because when you disappear from a girl's life like my friend did for 2 months, and he's still dating, hanging out, having fun, hooking up with other girls, and he moved on completely. He didn't call her, he didn't text her, he didn't beg her to spend time with her. He's just like, hey, call me if it doesn't work out. And so what happens in those situations is the girl starts testing the guy that she's with more and pushing on him to see what his strength is like. And of course, the doctor folded like a cheap deck chair. And so she came back to my friend because he was more masculine. And she married him and they've been together over 30 years at this point. But like I said, I see the red pill guy's gone, oh, she wasn't your first choice. It's like she still chose him at the end of the day. And so that's absurd. That's cope. That's how a beta male cope is. Like, they take it as a personal rejection that she's not ready to marry you and have your children on your first date or whatever. Or maybe she went back to an ex-boyfriend that she maybe had 5 years in with, and you only went out on a few dates. It's like, oh, but you weren't her first choice. It's just absurd to think in terms of like that's how a loser thinks, and that's what I see. A lot of the guys that are caught up in that red pill community is they think like losers think. They think it's a slight against their manhood if a girl is further along with somebody else and then tests the shit out of that guy and he's not up to the task, and then she later comes back to them. It's like you should take that as a compliment to yourself that she thought highly enough of you, and plus you were man enough to walk away and ride off into the sunset, because if she'd have never reached back out, they would have never spoken again. Maybe we, obviously we would see each other during holidays or reunions or things like that, but so I understand this guy's thinking, but at the end of the day, she is with him. She chose him, because if he was a bitch and she thought he was a bitch, she would have never come back to him in the first place. So we should take it as a compliment to himself.
Yeah, I've had that situation where I had been like dating someone for a while, and then they just started acting like, and then I kind of didn't know if I wanted to give this another guy a chance, because the other guy I was seeing was starting to act like a jerk and just, not, being respectable, I guess, would blow me off and say we were going to do something and not say anything. So I ended up going out with the other one for a little while, even though he eventually messed up too. But it was just a simple fact that it wasn't like a race for either one of them. You know what I mean?
But the bottom line is the other one that you chose initially eventually turned you off, and so
Yeah.
you went to give the other guy a chance.
Right.
And he eventually turned you off as well.
Yeah.
But, the bottom line is that women are going to go with who they feel most attracted to. And in that case, and like my friend's case, is that she felt more attraction to the other guy just because on paper he looked better, and also she'd been dating him longer. So she had more time in with him. And, when the other person's got more time, that's why you just got to let him be and give him space and just say, hey, call me if it doesn't work out.
Yeah.